This time, the People's Daily, which is the headquarters of the Chinese Communist Party's media, has published a memorial article, which has garnered attention. Regarding this matter, I would like to share some information. So, let's get straight to it. Please look at the front page article from the People's Daily on February 10th. The title of this article reads something like, "Is it true that foreign companies are making a large-scale withdrawal from China?" At the beginning of the article, it says that there are people saying on the internet that foreign companies are withdrawing from China on a large scale, but is there any evidence for this? The journalist of this article conducted an investigation. As a result, it was found that the actual amount of foreign capital used in China throughout 2024 fell by 27.1% compared to the previous year. Here's an explanation. Actual amount of foreign capital used is a figure officially released by China's Ministry of General Affairs as economic statistics. What does this mean? It represents the amount of money that was actually paid and used out of the investments from abroad into China. In other words, it's not based on contracts but on the money that was actually used within 2024. Since it's tax season now, think of it like cash accounting. Those who have filed taxes know that you can choose between cash-based and accrual-based for taxable income. For example, if you work until December but get paid in January of the next year, like with end-of-month payments, you haven't received the money yet, but that income is considered earned in December, and taxes apply, which is the principle of Japanese taxation. However, with special procedures, you can count only the cash you've actually received as income. Therefore, there are two types of figures in statistics: contract-based numbers and the amounts actually received or invested. What's being mentioned here is not contract-based but based on the amount actually received, and that amount has decreased by 27.1% compared to the previous year. This means investment in China has clearly decreased. Incidentally, what kind of investments are made in China? For example, foreign companies setting up factories in China or increasing capital in existing factories or companies, by pouring in new money from abroad. That's what foreign investment means, and this amount has decreased by 27.1%, which is quite a significant reduction. However, what does it say after that? It says that while the actual amount of foreign investment has decreased, the number of foreign-owned companies established within China has increased by 99.9%. Isn't this a contradiction? But many people have already noticed that this isn't a contradiction at all. Even if foreign companies establish new companies in China, if the scale of each investment is small, it's quite possible for the total investment amount to decrease compared to the previous year, which isn't contradictory at all. In other words, last year in China, foreign companies were investing, but the scale of each investment was smaller, so the total amount significantly decreased. This is based on numbers released by the Ministry of General Affairs, but Chinese netizens have been talking about foreign companies withdrawing from China for quite some time. Normally, the Communist Party media wouldn't cover such topics to avoid drawing attention by denying them. So, the People's Daily covering this is unusual. The fact that this article was published at this timing means that this topic is currently very popular on Chinese social media, and some kind of control over public opinion is necessary. It's a front page article after all, indicating that Chinese authorities are concerned about the situation. From the content of this article, you can see in which direction they think public opinion might go. Please look at this part where the line is drawn. Does China no longer need foreign investment? Actually, for the past few years, there have been cases where foreign companies invested in China but ultimately withdrew due to failures, and these were often high-profile cases. In response, within China, there were always voices saying, China is fine without foreign companies, or China doesn't need foreign companies. This is partly due to the Communist Party's excessive promotion of China's greatness. If this goes too far, it becomes harder for foreign companies to do business in China, leading to decisions like it's better not to invest or to withdraw if already invested. This is actually a serious issue for China, so what does the People's Daily say? It states that this does not mean China does not need foreign investment. In other words, if Chinese people start saying get out, we don't need foreign companies, it would be problematic for the Communist Party because, in reality, China relies heavily on foreign companies for domestic employment. This isn't just economically significant but also politically. For instance, Elon Musk established a Tesla factory in Shanghai, which has a huge economic impact but also political significance since Musk is very close to the Trump administration. If Musk's relationship with China were to sever, the U.S. might not care about China anymore, making U.S. companies doing business in China extremely important to the Communist Party. Therefore, they don't want anti-foreign investment sentiment to grow. Furthermore, it's interesting how they analyze the reason for the investment decrease last year. One reason is that there are waves in foreign investment. Although 2024 saw a significant drop, The previous 3 years had continuous investments over $1 trillion, so even a 20% decrease after such high investment isn't unusual. It's a common phenomenon in economic statistics. Another reason is that China's economy is transitioning from manufacturing to service sector dominance, and foreign investments are now more focused on services, which usually involve smaller amounts compared to manufacturing. Thus, even though investments continue, the total amount has decreased due to the shift towards services, not because foreign companies find China less attractive. However, the article claims that China's next is still China, suggesting that many foreign companies still see their future in China. It states that China has excellent technology and human resources, significantly increasing productivity, and its potential as a super-large market is clear. The misunderstanding about China's market has been that if you do business in China, you could target 1 billion people and make a lot of money. However, in reality, China's domestic demand is weak, and it relies heavily on exports. Even if there are about 100 million people with buying power, this doesn't make China a large market compared to its total population. If 100 million were rich and the rest poor, China wouldn't be the economic powerhouse it's claimed to be because the demand wouldn't match the supply from the working poor. China keeps its workforce impoverished to maintain competitive labor costs for exports, leading to issues like China's export of deflation being seen as a political problem by the West. China's GDP might grow through exports, but that doesn't necessarily mean its citizens become wealthier. This shows that focusing solely on GDP growth can lead to serious issues, as seen in China. Thus, even with 100 million relatively affluent people, the Chinese market is not as attractive due to fierce competition. In contrast, the U.S. has a strong domestic demand-driven economy. What should Japan aim for? Japanese citizens need to understand economic mechanisms better through education and media to address why their income isn't increasing. Instead of self-blame, they should look at systemic issues like high taxes, mandatory insurance, and utility costs. This narrative reflects a broader issue where individuals are made to think their personal efforts are to blame rather than systemic or political problems. This is akin to the passion economy where individuals are exploited by overworking under the guise of passion. This was pondered by a boy making a plastic model while watching Okada Toshiro's video. That concludes this video. See you in the next one.